As many of you know, I'm a fully qualified driving instructor, but what you might not know is that I failed my driving test 4 times. If you want to hear the story, then stay tuned to the latest episode of the G-Log.
Meet radio and television personality Gaz Reynolds, the founder of World Domination Records and Great Drive Driving School. Like, comment and subscribe to be part of the journey. This is Gaz Reynolds, the G-Log.
The G-Log album is now on sale worldwide. Get your copy now, available at YouTube Music, Spotify and all major outlets around the world. Links in the description below. Welcome to another exciting episode of the G-Log. That's me, Gaz Reynolds. I failed my driving test 4 times, but oddly enough I went on to be the most televised driving instructor in the UK, appearing on television shows on BBC Television, ITV1, Channel 4 and many, many more. Guys, before we jump into today's video, if you're new to this channel, I know you haven't seen the video yet, but I'm getting rather cheeky. Would you mind subscribing? I'm really trying to build up my subscribers and it would really be appreciated. Don't worry, I'll give you lots of great content and it's all free. Unless I try selling you something. So I thought today I'd do a story time video. One of my chosen career paths is as a fully qualified driving instructor, and if you've actually seen any of my videos you'd see why I actually came into this rather challenging industry, but it's also great fun. But what you probably don't know is that I've actually failed my driving test 4 times, and I'm going to tell you the story about how that all happened and how I actually became the most televised driving instructor in the UK. It's quite a bizarre story really, but then everything that I tell you guys is weird anyway, but it's all true. It's not made up for views, it is actually genuinely true. I need the money though, that's why I'm making these videos. I need the money. You might be surprised to know that I was actually a very nervous driver, and it took a very long time for me to actually get through my driving test with those 4 attempts. I don't know how I got through it, but I managed to eventually, and it was such a major achievement when I actually finally passed. That's why a lot of people are very surprised that one of the chosen careers that I went into was becoming a driving instructor. So the very first time that I took my driving test, I think I was about 21 or 22, and I do remember that I never used to check my mirrors. It's something all my pupils do now, and that basically, I think I pulled out in front of a car and I wasn't checking my mirrors or looking where I was going, and suddenly the examiner went on the brake. So that was fail number 1. Wasn't very nice. Anyway, I soon came back with a vengeance. I put some more training in. I was very determined to get my test the second time round. However, it didn't go too well. The same thing happened. I pulled out in front of a car and again the examiner went on the brake. The third time I was a bit more wise to things. I put a lot more training in. I was very determined, but this time the problem was that I was approaching a roundabout and I was going a little bit too fast, and the examiner had to use the brake on me. See the pattern? The brakes are being used quite a lot in my tests. So by test 4 I really was very determined by this time, and I knew that I had to be very careful. I didn't want the examiner using those brakes on me again. So so I put a lot of training in and I was very determined, but unfortunately I did fail the test again. It was again on a roundabout and the examiner used the brakes. So I had 4 very challenging situations there where the examiner used the brakes. But by the time I actually took my 5th test, I actually was such a good driver by that time that I actually passed my test and there was no problem. And I remember that my driving instructor said at the end of the test, he said, "This is a job that you might want to do one day," and it always stayed in my head. Really strange. Even though I actually went into a different career altogether, which was social work, and then I ended up in the music industry and releasing records and all kinds of stuff. And if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know all about that as well. But the thing is, it always stayed in my mind that one day I may actually start my own driving school and become a driving instructor. It was just something that really actually fascinated me, but didn't really seem to be a natural career path for me. That's, if that makes sense. It was really strange. So eventually what happened was that I was in a situation where I'd started my record label, World Domination Records, and we hit the recession in the UK and all my money went, and I needed to get into another business. So that's when I came into the driving school. And I got very, very lucky because I ended up having a very, very cool television career off the back of my driving tuition. I got very lucky and I ended up on a whole load of television shows. So all of that failing my driving test really wasn't all that bad after all, because it actually toughened me up. It made me become more aware that, you know, there's a lot of hazards on the road, and it got me very, very determined and got me thinking about a different career path, which I actually really did go into. Rather strange really that I ended up in this career, but at the same time I absolutely love it, and it gives me the opportunity to talk about all these kind of weird things that I've got involved in. So that's my little story time video of how I failed my driving test, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Sorry, I can't count. And how I ended up being a driving instructor that ended up being the most televised driving instructor in the UK. It's a bit of an unusual story really, and one that you may or may not be interested in. But anyway, I thought I'd tell you about it. That's the end of today's video. If you've enjoyed it, then please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to leave your comments down below, particularly if you failed your driving test. I'd love to hear your stories, and maybe I can give you a little bit of advice. That's the end of today's video. Oh, I mustn't forget, if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, because I cover lots of different kind of topics really. They're all related to my life in some way, and some of them are a bit crazy. So if you like that type of thing, then please consider subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.
Hi mortals, I'm Jesus. You can now purchase Gaz Reynolds Presents The G-Log, Album Volume 1 from Apple Music, Spotify, and all major outlets around the world. Includes the massive hits Electronic Kama Sutra, I Only Hear You, and Dark Lady. This is one heavenly experience you won't forget. By the way, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification button so that you can watch every episode of the G-Log religiously.
Out now, Gaz Reynolds' new album, The Wedding Album, as featured on Big Review TV and Radio Harrow. Available at iTunes and all major outlets worldwide.